And he says, the essence of strategy is choosing what not to do. The essence of strategy is choosing what not to do. And I guess the same is true with regard to innovation. The essence of any innovation strategy is choosing what not to do. Or, as Steve Jobs once said, I am as proud of what we don't do as I am of what we do. Can you say the same? And when you hear it for the very first time, suddenly the way you see it changes. Suddenly you notice people pulling their punches. Suddenly you notice blood pigs. And suddenly the way you see the world changes. And the same is true with the concept of finite and infinite games. Once you know about this concept, the way you see the world of innovation changes and the role of innovation in your company. And my point is, the same applies to the business world. Very often, we are playing the game with the wrong rules. We are playing the game with rules that were invented for a different game. But not only do the rules change while you are playing, well, there might even be a global pandemic. There might be a crisis or more crisis. And nobody cares. They're just saying, well, that's the way it is. Deal with it. Good luck. Has the whole world gone crazy? It looks and feels like that. And well, yeah, you can complain and you can say, well, that's not fair and everybody is crazy and the whole world is crazy. Or you can say, okay, if everything has changed, how can I be successful in infinite games? His conclusion was, I experienced working days full of hectic and pressure. Above all, people are reacting all the time. And you remember, he had a stopwatch around his neck. And he says, the longest time people could work focused on one task or one project was 9 minutes. 9 minutes uninterrupted work. 9 minutes focused work. Not more than 9 minutes. Isn't that crazy? So day-to-day work seems to consist of hectic, pressure, and interruptions. Acting instead of reacting, finding time to drive innovation, time to create the future of your company, doesn't work. BBT, big brain time. What you're doing right now, time to sit down, time to think about the future, about innovation, about how you can create the future of your organization. He said, busy is the new stupid. Why? Well, because we are talking about innovation tonight, and innovation is never a result of being busy. Innovation is the result of sitting down, thinking, talking, exchanging ideas with colleagues. That's how you create innovation. It's into category number 1, managing the present. What percentage falls into category number 2, selectively forget the past? And what percentage falls into category number 3, creating the future? You could say category number 1 is competing for the present. Categories 2 and 3 are competing for the future. That we have to do both at the same time. You have to create the future while simultaneously being successful at competing for the present. Competing for the present means it's about incremental improvements. It's about all the things that are already there. It's about improving existing products, improving existing services. It's about existing markets, existing customers. It's about your existing business models. It's about the competitors that are already there. What you have to do while competing for the present is to find performing gaps between you and your competitors and closing these performance gaps as quickly as possible in 3 or 5 years from now. So it's about new products and new services. It's maybe about a new business model. Maybe you have to think about new customers, about entering new markets. Maybe about new competitors who are only or maybe not on your radar right now. And of course, it's not about finding and closing performance gaps. It's about finding opportunities somewhere on the horizon and offering services and products to take advantage of these opportunities. Take a look at my calendar. I'm so busy with day-to-day business, I don't have the time. We are our calendar, and our calendar never lies. If I take a look at your calendar, it tells me exactly where your priorities are. He's a football coach, not at K-League, not yet. And I guess he's a really good one, isn't it?
Yeah, well.
Well.
Not such a special one anymore, but
Okay, not a
very
special one. And he said, that is really easy. I am the first on the training ground. Every morning at 7:30, I go to my office, I close the door, and I think for 2 hours every single day. And I thought to myself, okay, how many hours do I spend thinking about my future? And the question for you is, how many hours, not per day, but per week or per month, do you really use to think about your future and how you can create the future of your company, of your business, of your industry? I need my time to be lonely. I need to reflect. I need to try to anticipate problems. I need my time. So he worked with a psychologist in Hamburg, which was really good. And this guy told him, he said, you know, Mr. What you need from today on, you need this thing here, this beast, a not-to-do list. That you put all the stuff that you do not want to see in your life, that you do no longer want to see in your business life on this not-to-do list. Because it gives you energy to focus on the real important stuff. Give it a try. So this is question number 1. What are the biggest opportunities I should focus on? And the idea is not to come up with 10 or 12 opportunities that are possible, but really find something like a North Star where you can say, well, this is the one really big opportunity I should focus on. Question number 2, what capabilities do I need to take advantage of these opportunities? And question number 3 is related to the not-to-do list. It is, what am I wasting time doing today? And what could I do better with my time? So the idea here is not to put more on your to-do list, but to say, okay, here's my North Star, here's the biggest opportunity. And if I focus on this opportunity, what can I get rid so that I have more time and more energy to focus on the stuff that is really important? Dean Simonton from the University of California, he researches creativity and performance. And a summary of his research is this thing here. He says, high quality is always the result of high quantity. If you produce more masterpieces, you also produce significantly more crap. His words. I think these words are reassuring, and I give you the proof. This is a picture of the most successful composers in the history of music, the most significant ones, guys like Beethoven, Mozart, or Bach. They are outside of this line. And if you take a closer look, you realize why? Well, they produced way more than anybody else during their often short lifetime, 600, 700 compositions. And if you take an even closer look, you realize, well, not all of these 600 compositions were masterpieces, only some of them. But their success and the differentiator was they were producing, 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 and producing. And the same is true for organizations. Think of it like a funnel. You need to fill this funnel with many, many ideas. There's actually one easy question you should ask yourself on a regular basis. What can I do that I have never done before? What could I do next week? Just a small thing that I have never done before. And if you do that, you come up with 50 experiments per year. And I can guarantee you, you will be a different version of yourself after 1 year. We don't do it more often because experiments, they can fail. If you know an experiment is successful, well, it's not an experiment. Do an experiment means I don't know. I have an idea it might work, but it might not work. And Alessi says we are proud of our flops. Should Alessi go for 2 or 3 years without a flop, we will be in danger of losing our leadership. A company without a flop is creatively dead. Aren't these strong words? And I think this guy is really right. Your company, my company, without a flop is creatively dead. So this is a typical destructive failure culture. So somebody tries something, it doesn't work, and there is finger pointing. Who is guilty? And the guilty one or the guilty girl has to justify him or herself and say, well, I gave my best, sorry, it didn't work. And there's fear in the company, and fear leads to more mistakes and more failures, or that people don't have any initiative at all. Doesn't work. So what you need is a learning culture where if somebody tries something new and it doesn't work, this person takes responsibility and says, yes, I gave it a try. Yes, and I didn't work. Yes, it is my responsibility. But you know what? I learned this and this and this. And then you might say, well, and I have also some ideas to add. Let's put our ideas together and let's try something new and let's make together the next step. If the new product is not successful, if it fails, if customers don't like it, if it doesn't get into the app stores, there's a ritual. The entire company gets together, they drink champagne, and they party. And drinking champagne means 2 things. First of all, a good thing has happened, not a bad thing. And second of all, we're done with it. There's no finger pointing or anything else. And the labels of these champagne bottles, they are empty. So people write their learnings on these labels. I mean all the stuff we are doing because everybody else in our industry or company is doing it exactly the same way. Or all the stuff we are doing because we have always done it that way. We are all facing the same blind beliefs and dogmas in our industry. These beliefs, they become like an intellectual straitjacket. It's hard to get out. And at one point, you start seeing exactly the same opportunities that everybody else in your industry is seeing, and you miss the same opportunities everybody else is missing in your industry. They asked CEOs worldwide. 38% said the newcomers took most advantage of changes in the industry. And the next question was, why were these newcomers successful? Had they won by executing better or by changing the rules of the game? 62% said yes, they were not successful by executing better, but they simply changed the rule of the industry. That's what made them successful, and this is why it's so important to challenge existing beliefs and dogmas. He realizes doing the same thing over and over and over again well, it doesn't help him. So take a look at what he's doing. Isn't that cool? I mean, this guy, he did not break the rules. You don't have to break the rules, but you have to rethink the rules and ask yourself, can I play within the rules? Can I change the rules to my advantage? So ask yourself, all the stuff I did in the past, do I have to continue it? Is it necessary? Is it part of my culture? Is it part of our DNA? Or is it just weight that I'm carrying around? And very often we don't do that. Very often we think, oh, that's great. Or somebody else tells us, well, that would be a good idea. And we're ending up adding stuff to our backpack and more stuff. Therefore, from time to time, take your backpack off, ask yourself, in this backpack from the past, what can I get rid of to be more agile, to be faster, to be lighter on the way to the future? That's the idea.
The greater challenge, changing the rules of the game, or being challenged by changed rules, like external circumstances?
Well, if I understand this question right, it's pretty easy. The one is passive. You are passive. You are the victim of rules that are changing outside of your world. Or you can be proactive and you can say, well, why don't we change the rules? Because, I mean, who is responsible for the rules? Who is responsible for developing your industry? Well, it's the players in the industry, and you are one of these players in the industry. And you can say, well, I wait and see what is happening. Or you can say, well, then, together with my colleagues, maybe together with some partners, let's create the change in our company. And this guy came to the front, gave this guy 100 euros, and he said, you have to do it like me. So that's the guy with the formula and the secret formula. There is no secret formula. There are no 8 golden steps. That would be too easy. I mean, we are not earning as much money as Jose Mourinho, but we are earning a lot of money. And why do we earn a lot of money? Because it's not easy. Because there are not the 7 golden rules or the secret formula. Otherwise, a monkey could do it. You would say, hey, monkey, here are the 7 golden rules, do it, and bye-bye. It's hard. And that's why we are here, and that's why we are needed. So step number 1 is, well, do not present only stuff, but let people share success stories so that everybody says, okay, my best practice, what I tried, what I learned was this and that. That's a really good first step so that people or different departments or different countries learn from one another. That's good. That's important. The next really good step would be that people are not only talking about their best practice, that guys are saying, okay, now everybody tells about the stuff he or she has tried the last 3 months and what was not successful and what did you learn from being not successful. And that is incredibly interesting, but you need a culture like that.